So I just want to say it was really funny editing last week's episode, hearing you two guess where I was.
Can we
Because
guess
it
where
was just
Connor
like
is?
several minutes of just complete misinformation. Yeah, we could guess where Connor is. I think he actually said he was visiting his family, so he's probably in West Virginia. I don't know.
Yeah, he's in like Tokyo right now. Tokyo Disneyland. Yeah, Tokyo Sea, you know?
God,
He's
I
somewhere.
wish.
He's somewhere out there. Where
But it
were
was really
you,
funny.
though?
I was in Minneapolis.
The Mall of America, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they
I
have
was
like they have a whole like Nickelodeon park, like theme park inside the mall, which is pretty sick. But
where
yeah,
Squidward
I took
was.
a picture next to Squidward, and it was really funny. You guys were just like, "Yeah, isn't the Mall of America in DC?" And you guys were thinking of the
No, it
National
wasn't.
Mall, which is
No, the
not
Mall of
at
America
all.
was. I was like, no, it's in like the Midwest. Like,
Yeah,
no way, no way.
it is funny, like especially Connor. I mean, not to rag on the guy when he's not here, but he does just
You just
say
guess.
complete things that are completely false with his full chest. But we love him. But yeah, I was in Minneapolis visiting some family. It's a pretty chill place. I've never been to Minnesota before. They call it the Land o' Lakes for a reason. There's like 1,000+ lakes or thousands of lakes or whatever. We visited several of the lakes, and it's pretty cool, pretty chill. Did a little bit of fishing. Saw some family, so it was a good time. But no, I was not, in any of the places you guys guessed I was last week. Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Sam, and me on today I'm joined by Mike.
Hello.
And I think this is the first time ever in the history of this show we're having an Emmett and Mike episode. No Connor this week.
Done this. I think it's
This
Connor.
is the
Connor's
first.
been on like almost every single episode. I think.
I think he's literally been on every episode except for one prior to this. So like, he definitely has the best record out of the three of us.
I feel like we had an Emmett and Mike episode before, right?
I don't think we have.
There has to be one. There's no way that this has happened before.
Pretty sure this is the first one. But so just a little bit of inside baseball. When one of us, like obviously we do this show in our spare time, so like when one of us are preoccupied, the two people who can host the show brainstorm and think, okay, what are some overlaps between the two of us, right? And so for me and Mike, the first one that comes to mind is Hideo Kojima.
Hideo Kojima.
Because, I mean, if you've listened to this show, you know we love Hideo Kojima, and you know that Connor hates Kojima, and he thinks he's a fraud. And Connor is not here to defend his viewpoint today, so we are just going to talk about Kojima and how much we love him and how much we love his games.
So next year, I believe, is actually the 40th anniversary of his career.
That's crazy.
So
he is like, I think he's a lot older than he looks. Isn't he like 61. In his 60s?
He's
61.
Man. He'll be 62 in like a month, actually.
That's wild.
Like,
I mean, you got to think he probably doesn't have that many more games in him. But a counterpoint to that, Japanese developers never retire. So
he has a lot more games left in him because he's gonna put himself into like Grok or something. He's gonna large language model himself,
make himself an AI, and put him.
He's gonna write down every single thought and train like ChatGPT to be the next Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, he's gonna attempt some goofy stuff like that because that's just his
openly
brand.
Said that he wants to put his brain in a robot so he can continue making games.
Yeah, I mean that technology like doesn't exist quite yet, so hopefully it makes it in his lifetime. But like I thought, actually I think you had the idea, Mike. We just go through kind of our histories with Kojima's games, what we think of Kojima's games, and like how we experienced Kojima's stuff growing up. So I think I've said this on the show before, but it is quite surprising. My first exposure to Kojima was Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots.
Mine was actually Metal Gear Solid 2. I didn't play 3 though, so you can crucify me for that in the Discord.
So did you play? So you played 2 on the original PS2, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I did not play it all the way through. I think I made it like halfway through the game before I stopped. 4 was the first Metal Gear that I completed.
Oh, that's funny. So we're kind of similar in that sense.
Yeah, we're very
So
similar.
you were, how old were you? I'm just curious when you played.
Oh, was it like 2007, 2006? I
Okay,
was
so you're like middle
yeah, it
school age,
was like
kind of.
middle school age, yeah, because I was playing it at my dad's, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said your parents kind of were chill about you playing whatever, right?
No, they hated me playing, like they never let me play GTA, so my first
Oh,
exposure to
GT. Well,
GTA 3
yeah,
was, like,
GTA.
when GTA 4 was coming out, you know? Or close to
Yeah,
coming out.
yeah. So I like I said before in the show, like until I was in like seventh. No, that's not true. Until I was like in sixth grade, basically until I was actually 13, I wasn't allowed to play T-rated games. So and Metal Gear's all rated M, right? So
Yeah.
that was kind of like out of the question.
They didn't care about
So
M-rated games, they just cared about the games the news made them scared of, you know?
right, yeah,
But
yeah. But what's funny is like I remember when I was a kid, I think I was in elementary school, and my parents took me to some get together, right? And it was at one of their friends' houses. And these there was a kid there a couple years older than me, and he had, I forget if it was a GameCube or PS2, but he was playing Metal Gear Solid 1 on it. And that was the first time I'd ever seen or heard of Metal Gear Solid. And immediately I was just drawn to it, right? Like I was just like, I've never seen anything like this before. What is this? This is crazy. What are with all these crazy cutscenes? These cutscenes are all like little movies inserted into the game. And I know it's cool to hate on like long cutscenes nowadays, but back then it was like really, I mean, it was unique. No other games were really doing that. So I saw this and I had it in my mind, was just like, oh man, I want to play this game one day. Cause I knew like I couldn't play it until I was older. So I remembered Metal Gear after seeing, like, I watched that kid play it for like a few hours and I was like, this is the coolest thing. Cause like I'd never played a stealth game before either. And it was just like all these new things that I had never seen before. So that was like my first exposure to Metal Gear. But yeah, that's interesting. So you played Metal Gear Solid 2. Like, did
yes.
you attempt to understand the story at all as a kid?
As a kid, no. I think 4 is where I really, like, started browsing through everything to understand, like, what was going on.
Yeah, so 4, okay, so you played it on PS3 as well, I'm assuming?
I played 4 on PS3, yeah.
Yeah. So I remember Metal Gear Solid 4, it was a PS3 exclusive. I had a PS3 at the time, and, like, at this point, I was in high school, right? And my parents basically were like, "Yeah, you can play whatever you want." Um, and I remember Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, and I remembered, like, as a kid being like, "Oh, Metal Gear is so cool." I was like, I know this is the 4th game in the series, but I'm just gonna pick it up and play it.
Yeah, which is the
And
end of Snake's story, too.
yeah, it is. And it is, like, not a game that stands alone at all. Like, you definitely
Yeah,
need to play the
you need
previous
to at
games.
least understand a little bit. Like, having played at least a good bit of 2 and understanding of, like, hey, Snake and Otacon exist and, Raiden exists. And it's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
I kinda had to piece together what happened between 2 and 3 to get Raiden as a cyborg ninja, but,
right.
you know, it was
But
still
that's
cool.
crazy. Like, you at least had some context from 2. I
Yeah.
went in knowing nothing, right? Like, aside from watching, like, 2 or 3 hours of Metal Gear Solid 1 gameplay when I was, like, 11 years old or something. So, you can but, like, I it instantly became one of my favorite games of all time when I played
Yeah,
it.
it's
I was
so
just
good.
like, it was so good, and I replayed it so many times on that PS3. That's probably one of my most replayed games alongside, like, Uncharted 2 on PlayStation
It
3.
is 4 is a little unique because it is, like, I don't know, like 30 plus hours of cutscenes? Hold on. Let me, look
It's
that up
not
real fast.
I don't think it's 30 plus hours of cutscenes, but I do remember there were a couple cutscenes in there that were just disgustingly long, like 45 minutes to an hour long
8
or
hours.
even
8
longer.
hours of cutscenes.
Yeah,
The longest cutscene is a full-length movie at 71 minutes,
that's awesome.
and
Yeah, I
that's the
remember. I
epilogue.
think
The
okay,
ending
that's the
cutscene is
epilogue. I
71 minutes. You finish Metal Gear Solid 4, and you get a 71
That's
minute
insane, dude.
movie.
I think the second longest cutscene was maybe 45 to 50 minutes, and that was when. And by the way, we're just gonna spoil everything. Like
Yeah.
that's what's happening. When Liquid Ocelot took control of the guns of the Patriots, that's like in the middle of the story.
Yeah, where like all of a sudden all of these soldiers just suddenly start doubling over in pain and going like
Yeah,
nuts.
and then he just like he makes his like finger guns and starts like blasting. And dude, it's just so cheesy. It's so good. But yeah, I remember that was like 45 minutes long. And when I hit that cutscene, I was just like, all right, this man is built different. This is just
and
who
this is
does
what
this
that was
kind
the
of thing?
reveal, I think roughly at that point when it was, or no, that was later. Right, it's like it's not Liquid. It's
Oh
Revolver
yeah,
Ocelot.
it's Revolver. Yeah, that was like at the very end, right? At the fist fight or whatever.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. No. But I don't know. You just have to roll with it. Like it's just I don't know, man. Like Kojima, if you look back at all of his games, so like I'm talking about all of Metal Gear, you look at Death Stranding. I don't know about his other games too much. I don't know about Police Knots or whatever or Snatcher. But if you
Yeah.
look at like the overall tone of his games, you can tell there's like some concepts he's just fixated on, right? Like he's fixated on like this kind of or he's kind of obsessed with this weird version of like Americana like settings, right? Like all of his games pertain to America in one way or another. Like that's the focus of Metal Gear, that's the focus of Death Stranding. And he's also obsessed with mechs. All of his games have mechs. And he is obsessed with like cinematography. Like if you go back through all of his like modern games and even like earlier, like he cuts together trailers for all of his games by hand, right? So if you watch a Kojima trailer, it says like edited by Hideo Kojima. So he's very particular about about presentation, right? That's how I think of Kojima. He's like very particular about presentation, and Kojima presentation is a very unique thing that no one else really does in gaming. But yeah, so Metal Gear Solid 4, man.
Oh my god.
So do you remember like there was after 4 came out, like I don't know, maybe a few months later, there was another kind of game or like app that was released on the PS3 and it was like the Codex or whatever?
Maybe I don't remember.
Oh man, I forget what it was called, but like it was basically like a game you downloaded for the PlayStation Store. And it was basically just a giant encyclopedia for Metal Gear.
Yeah, you need it. The
Yeah.
wiki was instrumental in understanding what I was what I was witnessing on that screen.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like I think it's really funny that he just made his own wiki too. Like obviously the
You needed it.
resources were available
You
online,
needed it.
but he made his own. And I remember I basically reverse engineered the story of Metal Gear through that app on my PS3 because I beat the game and I was just like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then I went into that app and I just read all the entries. So like I read about all the characters from Metal Gear 1, 2, and 3, read about like the storylines, the plot twists, all of the weird terms, the Sons of the Patriots, Fox Die Virus, Solidus Snake, you
Like,
name it.
oh my
I read
god.
up on all of it. Uh in that little like codex thing.
God, it's just like the whole idea of Fox Die was made to kill Liquid Snake, but it was carried by Snake, but it also mutated to kill the entire world. It's like
Yeah.
it's so even the earliest of Kojima's games, like Metal Gear 1 was his first game. There were there were characters in it that just if I told you the names for them, you'd be like, "What do you mean?" Like hold on, let me pull up the list again.
Fat
So there were
Man.
bosses including like Shoot Gunner. He was renamed to Shot Maker later in remakes and everything.
Mhm.
Machine Gun Kid, he had a machine gun. Fire Trooper, he used a flamethrower. Now, here's the fun one. Here's the final one that really if I told you that there was one called Coward Duck or Dirty Duck in later releases, what weapon do you think he'd use? Just out there.
A rocket launcher?
No, a boomerang.
A boomerang.
He's a boomerang throwing terrorist who shields themselves with hostages. Dirty Duck.
Very, very Kojima.
There were Bloody Brad, two
Bloody
androids.
Brad?
They were first called Arnold, but they were two androids designed by Dr. Petrovich. Like,
Is this in the original Metal
this is
Gear?
the original Metal
Okay.
Gear.
Yeah, I never played the original Metal Gear games. But yeah, one of the I know they released those like the Master Collection, like Volume 1. I'm pretty sure Volume 1 has the original 2 Metal Gear games and Metal Gear Solid 1 through 3, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's a huge chunk of Kojima games.
Yeah, his Metal Gear was his franchise, and I think Konami putting him in the Metal Gear mines
Yeah,
because it was
we should
profitable.
talk about that too. Yeah, like that was crazy. I remember very clearly when all that went down, where Kojima had that very public falling out with Konami. And I mean, obviously we'll never know the actual like inside details of what happened, but like from the snippets we got, it did not sound good, right? Like they were basically like locking Kojima in his office and
So,
they were not on good terms at all.
so after 2001, when Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, he released a game called Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hand, and it was a Game Boy Advance game that required players to use the sun to charge their weapons. Right, like 2 years after
Like
Sons of Liberty.
like, okay, hold up. Like, are you actually talking about the real sun? Like somehow?
Yes, like there was a light sensor. It required the game asked
That's
players
funny.
to set their time zone to accurately display in game where the sun is in real time. And
Dude,
the
that's
cartridge
nuts.
offers a light sensor that reacts to the sun and charges your weapons. Apparently if you ran out of charge, you just screwed. You have to wait till you can get the sun.
So you have to. The only way to play this Kojima is to buy this separate peripheral that you attach to your Game Boy.
I think it came with the cartridge.
Okay. Okay.
Like Yoshi
well, I guess
Stops
that's
Turkey
better.
and everything. It was kind of one of those gimmick games where you get like a cartridge that's fatter than usual and has like a sensor in it.
Yeah,
But
I would love to see him do more experimental stuff like that. I know it's harder in today's industry, but you know he's still got that in him.
now
Right? Like,
it's so crazy that Metal Gear Solid 2 was one of those games where Kojima went through every effort to make every single promotional trailer and material showing Solid Snake in it. And not spoil the fact that an hour into the game, you don't play Snake anymore. And keep it that way. Even in game, it's like a 20 to 30 minute span before he takes off the mask and reveals that it's Raiden.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's still got to be one of the biggest twists in games industry history.
It's like so crazy.
You know, that's crazy.
You couldn't do that today. You could not get away with that today because it would inevitably leak. Someone would leak it.
The closest thing I can think of is actually, and this is kind of spoilers for The Last of Us, is The Last of Us Part 2. Like, The Last of Us Part 2 did a very similar, and I think obviously inspired by Kojima style twist, where you were like, okay, this is like, there's a whole secondary main character that you didn't even know about. And you're not playing as who you thought you'd be playing as when you play the game. And Kojima, I think that was very clearly inspired by Kojima, because when they put out trailers for The Last of Us Part 2, they like photoshopped Joel into like fake cutscenes. They like made fake cutscenes that were not in the game to throw people off the scent of what was actually happening, which I thought was crazy.
So for 3 also, he was playing coy about like the setting and who he'd be playing in Metal Gear Solid 3 as well.
Well, yeah, because after 1 and 2, like after he pulls that with 2, people are going to be on guard, right? People are going to be suspicious of anything that man does.
Hold on, let me search this interview because I found like an interview with him.
Yeah, so for Metal Gear Solid 3, like I've said, I've never played 3 before, and I'm going to play that remake coming out in about a month or 2.
Okay,
it's coming out very soon.
So for 3, he said, and so that's what we really want to do, is to enjoy stealth in the jungle using the environment of the jungle to play Snake. Not any Snake.
To play Snake. Yeah.
Not Solid Snake. Snake, because you play Big Boss in that game. You play Naked Snake.
Right, yeah. Cheeky guy.
One theory. So there's a question. It's like one theory going around is that Snake is not actually Solid Snake. He's a clone of Big Boss. Kojima
Oh,
was like, "We'll leave that up to your imagination." He's
people
playing
predicted that back in
so
the day?
coy. It was already established that they were all clones in 2,
Oh, right,
actually.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
established in 2, I forgot, because 2 had
They
Solidus and all that.
imagined that, I think they established that in 2 of Land of Terribles, I think. I gotta make sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, because Solidus is in that game, and it's like, yeah, I'm a clone of Snake.
Yeah, that 2 is when, like, things started really going off the rails, and then, like, 4 was obviously just, like, pure chaos
Yeah.
from a story perspective. Um, one thing I wanna point out also about Kojima, something that makes Kojima Kojima, is how many times he kind of uncannily predicts the future.
Yeah, it's weird.
You know, like, the one of the main themes of MGS2 and 4 were the people in power basically controlling the flow of information to basically trick the public, right, with fake news.
Yeah.
And this was well before the term fake news was even in our lexicon, really.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has come to pass, right?
And
Like,
2 was like AI, and 2 had these themes of, like, AI impersonating people and everything.
yeah,
And
yeah.
2001, like,
And kind of fast forwarding a little bit to Death Stranding, right? Death Stranding comes out, and it's about a world where everyone lives inside and relies on like delivery drivers to get them like essential packages. And then like months after Death Stranding comes out, COVID hits, and we live in that exact reality where everyone's shacked up inside. It's I don't know. It's funny. Like obviously he's not like a prophet or anything, but like the themes in his games have a funny way of making themselves realized in
yeah.
reality.
It's weird how uncannily Kojima can tell you the most outwardly absurd story, but if you dig past, like, that layer of, like, nanomachine sun, there's actually, like, a
Yeah,
deeply
he's saying something.
political and
Yeah.
stanced message in there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Um
Like,
did you did you ever play Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker?
I did not play Peace Walker.
Dude, I need to play Peace Walker. I keep hearing how good that game is and how it's one of the best Metal Gear games, and it's yeah, I definitely wanna revisit that game someday.
And it's
And I
right
think
after, it takes place right after 3 and before Phantom Pain, which I played
right.
a little bit of Phantom Pain, and even that one's like, "What?"
Yeah, so I played the crap out of 5 or Phantom Pain, um, and remember 5 actually was split into 2 games. One was like a
Yeah,
was like almost like
Ground
a
Zeroes.
prologue game. Like, instead of having a prologue to the game, he put it out an actual, like, game as a prologue to his actual game,
Yeah.
which, again, like, who does that? But, yeah, so Ground Zeroes comes out, and then I think, like, a year later or so, Phantom Pain comes out, and Phantom Pain was really controversial at the time because I mean, for one, it was unfinished, right, because of all the turmoil with Konami, but it was controversial because there was no longer that insane focus on story and cutscenes anymore. It was mostly just gameplay. Um, but I think this game showed that Kojima really has gameplay chops, right? Because like
Yeah.
MGS 1 through 4, like they were fine to play, right? Like the gameplay was serviceable, I would say. Like he did have very creative boss fights. Like that's always been a Kojima staple, but the actual like moment to moment gameplay was just average. And then Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out, and it's some of the best, or not some of, it is
It's the
literally
best stealth
the
game.
best stealth game, action, third person action has ever felt in any video game,
Yeah,
as far as I'm
like,
concerned.
the stealth system's
Is
so good. Like, that
the
little
only one that's
reaction.
comparable is The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 obviously again took inspiration from MGS5's gameplay. Um but yeah, so MGS5, like it felt brilliant to play, and the gameplay was super addicting too. Like I can't overstate how much of a joy it was to play, like actually play that game.
And, like, a
Which
good stealth game requires you to actually embrace what happens when you screw up and not just
yeah,
be a mission fail. Because Metal Gear Solid 5 has options. If you screw up and you break stealth, well, you have options. You might as well
Yeah.
embrace it.
And plus, like it's pretty unforgiving too, right? Like
Yeah.
if you I mean, you have options, but if you fail past that, you just have to basically redo the whole thing.
Yeah. And
So
it's
it is a
forgiving
true
too.
stealth game.
Like the detection system's forgiving too. Like if someone detects you, but before they radio, you can take them out.
Right.
And that's a unique bit
And
because
remember
like
he had that whole Fulton system where you could like
yeah,
tie balloons to people to take them to your base and tie balloons to like animals and stuff to bring them
yeah,
there too.
yeah, that whole
And
meta
I
game of building a base.
and apparently that all originated in Peace Walker, which is why I want to check that game out someday. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just going back to like the Konami thing, it is a shame because like you gotta wonder, like what would a finished Metal Gear Solid 5 be? Like
What
that
would a
might be.
finished PT be?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I
Like
mean, let's talk
PT
about that.
for that the PT having played it, that hour and a half
It's some of the
is
best horror
probably
gaming out there.
some
Yeah.
of the best horror gaming out there. It's so good. You
Yeah,
don't you like
PT was incredible, and I believe he was originally collaborating with Guillermo del Toro to
it
make a
was
horror
Guillermo
game,
del Toro. That was what PT
and then
was.
I guess that fell through, and then he just shoved them into
That was
Death
supposed to
Stranding.
be it was supposed to be a Silent Hill game. Like
Oh my
and he
gosh,
would have
yeah.
nailed it because I to this day I still cannot piece together what exactly was happening in PT, but something was happening. There was some symbology there.
I mean,
It is
I'm sure that's true. All I remember of PT is just being scared out of my mind.
yeah, like
That was
that simple
horrifying.
loop, like the simple gameplay of that loop of just rotating through the house over and over and something changes
I
every
mean,
time
the
you
whole
go.
game basically takes place in a hallway.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant, like it's
It
so claustrophobic.
somehow he made a hallway terrifying. And it
Yeah.
was always the same hallway. It didn't really take much to make it that scary, but
But
it
you know what made
was.
it so scary was that you'd walk through this hallway, you'd see these rooms, and then like maybe the fourth or fifth time you walk through it, something is slightly different.
Yeah.
And then that just puts the fear of God in you,
Yeah,
Like
you're like, "Oh, why is there like a fetus in the sink? Oh god. Why is there a
and
woman here? Where'd she go?"
yeah, she was scary, right? Like and obviously there are some jump scares in there too
Yeah,
that
it
were done
was
very well. But like
a
I think the main
very
thing with PT is just like the atmospheric horror. Like
Mhm.
it gives you that feeling of dread
It was
really
very
well.
cerebral. It very much played with your mind because, like, you putting you in that same location over and over again and putting these little slight differences keeps you on edge because you're never truly
Yeah.
comfortable.
It's like, did that painting always look that way? Like, I
Yeah, wait
think it
wait, where
did,
did
but maybe
this
it's slightly different,
was
yeah.
there something up there that whole time? Was there always something watching me? Like, wait, what?" It messed with you in a way and never made you comfortable. In that hour and a half, you were never once like, "Oh, I know what's gonna happen next," because you no idea.
And what's
Very
crazy
good.
is that, like, it felt different every time you played it too. There was, like, so
Yeah.
much stuff that could happen and didn't necessarily happen every playthrough. So it kept, like, subsequent playthroughs very fresh.
Like, and I think
Um,
it's the greatest travesty of gaming is that it never, ever came to fruition. Konami
yeah, that
screwed it
really
over
sucks.
and did not give us the Hideo Kojima, Guillermo del Toro Silent Hill game because that would have been nuts.
But yeah, PT, that, like you said, is a tragedy. I remember keeping that on my PS4 for the longest
I
time.
think it's still installed on my PS4.
Oh, that's amazing, dude. That's like,
Yeah, it's like
I mean, I
gold.
feel like that's pretty valuable just having it on your PS4. Because there's no way to get it now. Like it's gone from this, and that was a big reason. Like people were mad at Konami too. Not only did they like kill it, they were like, no one can ever download this again.
There was a way to download it using like a proxy,
Yeah,
but
but
I
I don't
don't
even think you can do
know.
that anymore.
Let
I know
me
it's been recreated in Unreal, and like a lot of fans have recreated it like from scratch, basically. But like the original game, like you can't really get it anymore. Um, yeah. So another kind of like I don't know, like Konami is I think kind of on the redemption arc now, but like back then with what they did with Metal Gear, what they did with PT, people really really hated them. And we're
yeah.
all like on Kojima's side. But yeah, so I guess if we're going chronologically here. So PT comes out, sets the world on fire. People are like a horror game by Kojima would be amazing. That falls through. And then Kojima becomes a free agent, right? After he leaves Konami. And obviously this is a weird situation, right? Because Kojima is the Metal Gear guy up to this point, right? He like you said, he's made a couple smaller games here and there, but he is synonymous with Metal Gear. And because Konami owns the Metal Gear IP, now it's kind of an awkward situation. And then he talks to a bunch of interested parties and ends up working for Sony at Kojima Productions, right? So originally, and as we know, Kojima Productions is not necessarily tied to Sony anymore, right? Like Death Stranding kind of is, but like it's like limited exclusivity. But yeah, so he partners up with Sony to do an exclusive game, and as we know, that game turned out to be Death Stranding. And Death Stranding, did you ever play Death Stranding, Mike?
No, it's been on my list, but I never played it.
It is a weird game. Like I know we've been talking about it for the past few weeks because I've been playing Death Stranding too. But when Death Stranding came out, it was a really people played it and were like, "Dude, what are you Kojima, what are you doing? This is
Kojima,
so
what is this?
strange."
What is happening?
Like this is strange even for you, right? Like cuz the gameplay like it did not have the insanely snappy satisfying gameplay of Metal
I
Gear
don't
Solid 5.
I don't I
It was
think
just a
we're
walking simulator.
I think we're forgetting like the bonkers marketing campaign for Death Stranding
Oh, it was insane.
and how
Dude, like
like nothing about the game was ever shared until the
no.
game came out.
Yeah.
Up
And
until the
I will
game
tell
came
you
out, we were
some of the
speculating on
trailers.
this very podcast what Death Stranding was.
Dude, the trailers, and again, Kojima's a master of trailers. He cuts all his trailers himself. The trailers that man put out for Death Stranding, I mean, it could have convinced, I mean, it basically did convince me that it was going to be the greatest piece of media
Yeah.
ever
And
released.
we're like, what
Like,
is this?
it was just so endlessly intriguing. The imagery in those trailers, like Norman Reedus, like holding the baby vanishing, then you see the baby's like handprints as he's like in BT form or
Then
whatever.
you get like soldiers that are just shooting people and you're like, what is going on? Why is there a baby in a capsule? What is happening here?
Yeah, like and again, obviously now we have all the context, we know the story, but just to drop that kind of insanity with no context, it was just so fascinating. Like
Yeah,
so
it's like
many, yeah, it was
it's like
just
what is
so.
he making?
What is this game? Yeah, like no one knew until it really dropped, and like I will always remember that the very first trailer for Death Stranding. I think, oh gosh, it was the it was one of the Sony, like, E3s. I think it was the one where maybe God of War Ragnarok was revealed, or
Yeah,
maybe the one before that.
was it the one where we were eating pizza
Or
in
not
your
Ragnarok, God of War
apartment?
2018.
Yeah, that was
That
I
might have been
remember
it.
that one.
Actually, that might have been it,
I
yeah.
think me and Connor were watching it with you in your apartment, or it might have just been me.
Yeah, I think that one was it, but, like, this trailer happens. I mean, we know it was a Kojima game, right? Kojima came out and everything, but like this trailer happens and it ends with Norman Reedus on the beach looking up to see like those five figures just like floating in the sky, and then the words "Death Stranding" appear, and everyone's just like, "My, like, what is this?" It was it was a powerful trailer. I still think to this day it's one of the best video game trailers like ever. But yeah, Death Stranding came out. Uh, we I think we all collectively played it and were like, "Okay, this is weird."
I
But
think it
then,
was
like
E3 2016. I'm looking at it.
that
Was
sounds
the
right,
first
yeah.
it was the first yeah. It's where they announced the new God of War,
And
RE7, Death
Final
Stranding, Days
Fantasy
Gone.
VII Remake was that year as well, I'm pretty sure.
No. The
Really?
Last Guardian was revealed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it was
So
a
it
bunch
was a
of
pretty crazy E3.
that was the year where, Breath of the Wild was revealed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, that
that
was an
year.
insane E3.
Maybe Final Fantasy. I'm looking at what else was revealed, but
I think Final Fantasy was revealed that year.
and Deus Ex game came out that year, so Squeenix didn't do anything, I don't think.
Hmm.
I mean,
Well,
let's
anyways,
see.
yeah, so I remember playing Death Stranding 1 and thinking, like, "This is really cool, but it's not at all what I thought it was," you know? 'Cause large stretches of the gameplay were just, like, carrying heavy, wobbly equipment through, like, dangerous mountainous fields, you know? That was basically the game. But Kojima somehow made it work, and, I don't know, it just creates a very unique vibe, you know, like, hiking over those mountains with the music playing and, like, overcoming the obstacles, sneaking past the BTs. The combat was not very good. That was like one huge knock against Death Stranding, but like I think Death Stranding was very much best enjoyed without combat at all, right? Like if you could just maintain stealth and and because like the core of the gameplay was just figuring out how to get from point A to point B and like overcoming the obstacles, whether they're geographical or like enemy based obstacles, and that was it was very good. And then I think that brings us all the way forward to Death Stranding 2, which
Which,
I've
oh my
talked about
god.
enough on this show, but like I Death Stranding 2 really is like the marriage of Metal Gear Solid 5 and Death Stranding 1, right? Like he took a lot of like the kind of the stealth gameplay that made Metal Gear 5 so good. Like it's not as good gameplay wise as Metal Gear 5, right? Like that's going to be very hard to top, but he took a lot of that goodness and like shoved it into Death Stranding. So Death Stranding 2, there's like a lot more options all of a sudden, right? Like if you want to stay in stealth and sneak, you still can, but like you have so many different options for combat now. Um and that gameplay variety made it very fun in a different way from Death Stranding 1.
So 2018 was actually the last year Sony was at E3, and Death Stranding was there that year. It wasn't there at 2017, it
Yeah,
was there at 2016.
because Death
Crazy.
Stranding 1 comes out in 2019, right? So that was like
Yeah.
their last year they showed it before it released.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, I don't see, it might have been the year before. It might have been at the Game Awards or something that we're thinking of.
Okay, yeah. It all kind of
But
blends together.
yeah, like I God, this makes me miss E3 because of how hype it would be to sit there
Dude,
and like
I fully agree
wait.
with you. I know Connor heavily disagrees on this topic too, but I miss E3. Like I thought E3 was great. I never thought it was like I loved all the cringe. I loved the live nature of it. Like I
I loved like
was a big fan.
having that like week of gaming, like being in a gaming and being like a gamer or whatever.
Yeah,
And there was
there
just
was a
a
level
solid
of
week where you'd be like, this is coming out. Now
yeah,
it's like
there
all
was a
year.
level of excitement. It was like Christmas basically. You know,
Yeah.
it was for video game
Now
enjoyers.
it's literally just all year now, and it's like it's so
Well, it's all
so
year now, and it's like
boring.
it's I don't know. This is my opinion, and it's probably like a minority opinion, but it's just like too corporate. Like I don't like the pre-canned videos everyone has, like the
Yeah,
state of plays, the Nintendo Directs. I
it
loved it when they got up on that stage and were like, "Here's the game. We're gonna play it maybe a little bit, and then boom, we're done." You know?
it's the worst part. Like the Game Awards, like it's not the same watching the Game Awards because it's mostly games that I'd never care about.
Mm.
And I don't know whether it's because I've become more cynical about gaming in general or that just there's not a lot of games that I'll see a trailer for and go, "Yo, that's exciting."
Yeah, I think maybe you are a little more cynical.
Maybe.
Just I think because like I still get excited, but like that level of excitement has definitely gone down over the
Yeah,
years for me too.
it's not, "Let's get sit on a couch at, like, an apartment together and watch E3 levels anymore." It's
Yeah,
now, I'll watch the Game Awards, I might just see what's happening and
right,
see what I
yeah.
get.
But like I don't know, man. I think if they brought E3 back, that excitement would come back because there is something to that. Like I know people will fight me on this, but I'm dug into this. There is
Don't
something to
crash.
that live format that's really good and that adds a lot of
Yeah,
excitement to these uh game reveals. I don't know.
like, speaking of that, speaking of game reveals, Silk Song will be playable at Gamescom
Okay, yeah.
this
Again,
year.
with the Silk Song talk, I'll
Uh,
believe it when I see it.
it's this
I'll believe it
year,
when I see it.
it's happening, Hollow Knight Silk Song, you can play be a Skonger, it's time, Silk Song, it's coming this year, guys, I promise.
Boy Who Cried Wolf.
It's on the Xbox booth too, so it
Yeah.
apparently
I mean, this looks legitimate. You're right. Like it's probably actually happening this year, but I just don't. I refuse to believe it
I
until it's
refuse.
playable.
If it is,
But
it's gonna be game of the year, and it's just gonna be copium. Um,
I mean, if it comes out this year, I feel like game of the year might be between that and Claire Obscure.
I don't
So,
think it's gonna get
you know,
game of the I honestly think it's not gonna be as good as people hyped it up to be.
I think you might be
That
right. You know, like
is the problem
it's
with these
tough.
kind
Yeah,
of games, is that,
yeah,
like, you get this idea in your head that this is gonna be the best game you've ever played when you've been,
right.
like, forming, like, child sacrifices over it for the last, like, 5 years.
Yeah, this
That
definitely is one of those games that might just get crushed by the amount of
the hype might
anticipation there is for it.
I don't want it to be another No Man's Sky, but there is a possibility that it just ends up being like this big disappointing game that's just another Hollow Knight game, and it doesn't do anything
Well,
crazy
even
to really
another
change the
Hollow Knight
genre.
game would be, like, amazing in my book, but, like yeah, I see what you're saying, you know, like,
Yeah.
they have now taken so long that the onus is on them again to prove that
Yeah, it was worth the wait.
they've got it. So, okay, so before we move on, I wanna talk about one final aspect of Hideo Kojima. We talked about his past, we talked about his present, let's talk about his future a little bit.
So,
So we know he's 61 years old and he's got two projects he's currently working on. One is OD, which is an original horror game concept, which is probably the one I'm most excited for, right? Because like we saw what Kojima can do with horror, with PT, and OD being like a full-fledged horror game, that is really exciting.
yeah,
Um, and I
I
think
think
OD
he
was originally supposed to be like an Xbox exclusive, but now that Xbox is going really kind of third party, I don't know if that will hold anymore. But yeah, OD,
and
that's
Physant, I think?
that's one of them, and then Fizzant, which is a stealth game, kind of I'm guessing that game is going to be the spiritual successor to Metal Gear, which hold your horses if it really if it goes into that same level of craziness. But yeah, those are his two projects he's working on now.
So,
I'm yeah.
OD is described by Kojima as, exploring the concept of testing your fear threshold and what it means to OD on fear. And he's working with
Love
the
it.
Xbox or whatever to create a very unique game, new style of game, or rather, in the most Kojima way possible, a new form of media. Because Kojima
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
create games; he creates experiences.
Yeah, we forgot to mention the whole Strand type game thing,
Oh my
which was
god,
that was really goofy.
he's a goofy dude. Wait, he's working on it with Jordan Peele too.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That's
Yeah, and Jordan
crazy.
Peele is like a horror guy. So,
Yeah,
I think this has a
crazy
lot of
how it
potential. I
went
mean,
from Key and Peele to horror guy. Uh,
yeah.
this is crazy. Comedy to horror.
Yeah, and he's like he's one of the best at it. He's a
Hey,
master of horror, yeah.
how
But
does
yeah,
your career go from sketch comedy to horror? What
he
happened?
must have always had it in him, you know, like
Yeah,
he just didn't have an outlet for it. But I I mean, like, you look at what he did with PT and, like, you can't help but get excited, right? Like, if you're a fan of horror games, like, this should be one of the top games you're anticipating.
yeah,
Like, Hideo Kojima, Jordan Peele, right? Like, these are 2 masters of their craft working together.
and
Um,
it's gonna be subversive. It's gonna be weird. It's a Kojima game. He made PT, which is still probably one of the best horror games ever released, and that you could never play.
the
There,
unique thing about PT, though, is it is the only one of his games that doesn't have the weirdness. It is
yeah,
just terrifying.
yeah,
So I wonder if OD I don't know if that's like, that might just be a code name for it. I don't know what it'll eventually end up being called, but I don't know if OD will be like that as well, right? Like, maybe it's just like a full-fledged, like, scare your pants off horror game, and it's gonna, like, not have any of the Kojima weirdness, and maybe he's gonna save that for Fizzant. I don't know.
yeah. It's gonna be like it's not even announced yet, but we know he's working on it. It has a website. I I'm excited for what Kojima's gonna like make out of a horror game because I don't know. I just believe. I believe that Kojima's gonna create like some nutty stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, right now, like, based off PT, you gotta believe, you know, if that man was able to put out PT, you gotta be excited for what he's doing next. But yeah, so that's OD, and then Fizzant, I think we have even less details on, but that's gonna be like a new, like, kind of tactical espionage action type game. And after playing Death Stranding 2, I will say, right, like, because obviously Death Stranding 2 was just Kojima saying "F it," and then just, like, grabbing as much of Metal Gear as he could and shoving it into Death Stranding,
And it worked.
and it worked, right? Like, but what I'm saying is, like, he's not gonna have any restraint, right? Like, if there's already a Solid Snake character in Death Stranding 2, like, I
OD
can
was
only
launched
imagine.
was released, was announced 2 years ago. Oh, but it is OD's in production right now. It's what we're getting because after In this month, it came back into production because it was suspended in December due to the strikes.
Okay, so you think it's gonna be like OD then Fizzant,
Yeah,
probably?
OD
Yeah.
is re-entered production just this month.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, so Fizzant is a long ways off. Like,
yeah,
that's,
Fizzant,
like,
we have
probably maybe 10 years
Fizzant's not
off or
even its
more.
name. We don't even know
Yeah,
what its
that's
name is. We just know
yeah.
it's being in progress.
Yeah, so,
So,
I don't know, by that time, Kojima will be around 70, we'll see if he
yeah,
still
we
wants
know
to.
that OD is gonna be named OD because it has had its teaser. It has been
Mhm.
confirmed as being worked in 2023, and production just resumed, um, this month. So we
But, you know,
should
there
maybe see a trailer for it at the Game Awards?
no, come on, like, with AAA games nowadays, 5 to 7 years, I would say,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I mean, the
I
teaser
would be
was
surprised.
the teaser which already showed off the cast was 2 years ago. So it has to be somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. But you'd think, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how big Kojima Productions is. Maybe they were working on Death Stranding 2 and this game at the same time. That's possible.
And it's possible that it got cut by Microsoft, but doubtful. Doubtful that it got cut by Microsoft. Microsoft
Well, that's the thing with
knows
Kojima, and
Kojima will
what's
print
so
gold.
smart about his setup, right? Because, like, originally he partnered with Sony for that Death Stranding, but, like, after a while, he actually got the rights to the IP from Sony for Death Stranding. So originally, Death Stranding was a Sony IP, but now it is a Kojima IP.
Yeah.
And they worked out some kind of agreement, right? Like right now, Death Stranding 2 is an exclusive on PlayStation. I think maybe in a couple years it'll come to everything else. That's what happened to Death Stranding 1. So Kojima owns his IP, which is very smart of him, right? So like even if Microsoft's like, okay, we're not really interested in OD anymore, someone else is going to be, and someone else is going to give that man money to make that game. Um, so I don't know. He's just a very unique figure in this industry. Like obviously we have big names in the games industry. We have like Shigeru Miyamoto, Hidetaka Miyazaki, Hideo Kojima. Like they're all three I've mentioned are Japanese so far, which is saying something, right? But I mean, he's obviously up there as like one of the most iconic game creators of our time. And you got to think, right? Like there is a world where Fizzant and OD are his last games, right? Because at that point he might be in his 70s. He might not want to direct games anymore. Maybe he'll like advise on them like Miyamoto does now. I don't know. Or I don't know. I could easily see him being one of the types that are like, I'm going to make video games until the day I die. I could see
Yeah.
him being like that.
He has the plans. The machinations of Kojima are in progress, and we are going to get like the Kojima bot eventually.
The
Whether
Kojima
he
bot.
will create his own AI just so that his brain lives forever. Honestly, I think he's just that kind of like auteur.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him trying at least.
Like
Um,
he
yeah,
has something planned. There's something up his sleeves because Kojima is a madman. He's the craziest game developer or director that I think out there.
craziest. You're probably right. Yeah, like no
Like,
one, especially because like he's in a unique position where he's crazy, but he's also highly successful. So people will
yeah,
give him lots of money to do
they
crazy
don't
things, and it
they don't
works.
care. They
Yeah,
just say, "Hey, Kojima." He's gotten to the point where like every game director and developer aspires to be, where he just has to walk into a room, hand them like 13 pages of the absolute craziest ideas known to man, and they'll go, "Here's $10 billion. Make
yeah.
it
I mean,
happen."
like you're. That's not.
Like,
That's pretty accurate, honestly. And that's yeah. That's a very
we don't
unique
need to hear
position to be
anything
in.
else. He could just make a drawing on a page of a title, and
Yeah,
Sony would be like, "Greenlit. Here's your money. Come
yeah,
back to us in 7 years."
yeah.
I
And
mean,
very few AAA developers have that level of
like, there's not a lot of
impact,
people
control. Yeah.
that, because I think when he left Konami, he took a lot of the staff from Kojima Productions with him. They just followed him.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like, and especially if you look at Konami's kind of output after Kojima left. I know, like I said, right now they're kind of coming back, but for many years there, it was very dire, right? They were just making pachinko games and stuff. So, yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So could yeah.
apparently, the modern Kojima Productions is only 100 employees,
That's crazy.
which I think he visited Media Molecule, right? And he's like, "Hold on, we could do a studio like that," and decided to create a small studio that's more relaxed than, like, the modern Japanese studio, which he
Well
compared to, like, an army.
well, the other kind of fun Kojima story, when he wanted to make when he decided he was gonna make Death Stranding, right? Like, he didn't have the, what was it? The Fox engine? That's what Metal Gear Solid was built on, right?
Yeah.
I believe that's what it was called. He didn't have an engine, right? So he was just like, "I'm gonna go through all the Sony first parties and see which engine I want," right? And when he went to, Guerrilla Games, they presented him the Decima engine in, like, this really fancy box with this, like, USB on it in it that had the Decima engine, and, Kojima's, like, a flashy guy, right? I'm sure that had an impact, but he
Yeah.
fell in love with the Decima engine, and now we have got the Horizon games and Death Stranding all running on Decima, so
And the thing about it is that when you are dealing with, like, smaller engines, they're more optimized. They're way
well,
more
Decima
optimized.
specifically, I think, is hyper optimized to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like, it is a yeah.
Like,
And
this is a tangent, but this was brought up recently, like, people are asking how Warframe is so optimized, but yet it looks better than a lot of games out there, and it's
yeah.
because Digital Extremes is using their own in-house engine to make this game, so every single little bit of tool and equipment for it has enough documentation to drown people in, and there's not a lot of turnaround, so everyone knows the engine really well.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just as a consumer, like, you look at the end product of games that are made with, like, custom engines, and they always have kind of a special air
Yeah.
about them. Like,
They're
you look at Naughty
often
Dog's games, and you look at, like, God of War, like, none of these games were made using Unreal or Unity or
and
whatever,
they're
right? They
usually
were in-house engines.
they're running really way better than anything else. Because the
Yeah.
problem with these big ticket engines is that you kinda just take shortcuts because you don't have to do the actual work, and you end up running into optimization issues, usually. Like, when's the last time you played a UE5 game that didn't run terribly on PC?
Yeah,
Like,
the whole stutter problem and everything.
the
I
whole
will
s
say,
micro stutter problem and everything.
Death Stranding 2, it came out polished to a fine sheen, right? There were
Yeah,
no, like, bugs, like, there was I mean, like, it ran at, like, 4K, 60 frames per second, the graphics looked amazing, there weren't really any compromises. So,
yeah,
it's just,
once
I
you
think,
kinda
a credit
get
to
into
the team and the engine.
the engine, like, there's a lot understated about using custom engines. And I feel like production costs balloon when you use a custom engine, but at the same time, like, you end up optimizing more and more and cleaning up your code base and cutting a lot of the fat.
Mhm.
Because Unreal comes now with baked-in ray tracing, I think, and that's a lot of fat. Like, there's a lot of features that sound good on paper, but they end up just adding a lot of pork to the barrel.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're very heavy features that you
Yeah,
have to really optimize around, and a lot of people just don't. And then
and turnover also makes it so that people aren't, familiar with what the procedures and everything is, so they just end up there's a very little experience in a lot of AAA studios because of the high turnover rates.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, and that's what, like, that's what makes places that have their own kind of 'cause, I keep bringing up, the PlayStation studios because I know those best, but, like, you look at Naughty Dog, the same people have been there for, like, decades,
yeah,
you know?
once you have, like, where you look at, like,
Um,
Valve, where
yeah.
people Valve is very much the retirement home for game devs or software engineers or any kind of role. Because once you get a job at Valve, you're kinda there for the rest of your career, there's no reason to leave.
Yeah, and plus, like, that kind of generational knowledge, like, that knowledge that's been there since the beginning, and then you help pass that down to the new
Yeah,
people coming in. That generational knowledge plays a huge role in, like, the games having, like,
having
a
this
high level of
knowledge
polish.
and having this code base that is knowledgeable is very important.
Mhm.
Kojima knows it, that's probably why Kojima Productions is only 100 people. He has another
Yeah, and
studio
I
next
would
to
bet like
Guerrilla
a lot of
Games.
those people in Kojima Productions are people he's worked with for many, many, many years.
Yeah, and he has another studio, a smaller studio right next to Guerrilla Games in Amsterdam, apparently.
Oh, does he really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I think that's just theirs too for engine consolidation and everything,
Mm.
since he does use Decima. I think it's just there as like an outreach so that they can help work on Decima to make it more optimized for his games as well.
Okay, yeah, I do know that they have collaborated on Decima because
Yeah,
like after Kojima got it, like Guerrilla and Kojima Productions would like their work would kind of improve Decima in different ways. Like I
yeah,
remember reading some interviews about that, so it's cool to see. Um, oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to point out: the music in Kojima games, incredible. I don't think we've
yeah.
brought that up yet. The Metal Gear music, so good. Still
It's
some of the best themes in
very
video games.
much,
So good.
very much like pulp spy movie music in a lot of
Yes,
them,
absolutely. Absolutely inspired by like James Bond and stuff.
especially 3. 3
Um,
had some of the most like pulpy music. A lot of the ones set during the Cold War had that James Bond aesthetic kind of deal.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see how ambitious I'm feeling. I might cut in Snake Eater as the intro and outro to today's episode.
God.
We'll see.
And he
Such a good song.
also I just like I'm thinking about 4 and I'm thinking about like the psyche meter
Yeah,
where you had a separate health bar that was just your mental state, and if it got low enough, you'd throw up. Like
I remember that. Yeah.
you just throw up and you just go nuts, which is crazy. Or like the octo camo.
Oh my
God,
gosh, the Octo camo. Oh
just
man, I forgot about
crazy
that.
bits.
Yeah.
Like
I'm it's been so many years since I've played Metal Gear 4 and I think at this point, especially if 3 comes out and like the remaster does really well, we're probably going to get remasters of all of them. I'm very excited to revisit 4 one day. It's still to this day one of the craziest games I've
I
ever played.
forgot that you could restore your psyche meter by reading porno mags.
Oh my
I
gosh. Yeah, I
forgot
forgot
that
about
was
that.
in the
Yeah.
game. Oh
Yeah,
my
I forgot
god.
about
I
that.
forgot there was a
Yeah.
stress meter too that drained your psyche
Yeah.
meter. Like that is such a weird mechanic to put in a game, but this is the same Kojima that put a piss meter in Death Stranding.
Right. Well,
Like
in Death Stranding 1 at least, not only was there I mean, there's a piss meter in Death Stranding 2, but in Death Stranding 1, you could use your piss and your poop and your whatever and your sweat to make grenades and stuff, you know?
you could just
It was just
just
yeah.
poop at people. Like this is Kojima, man. He'll just do whatever he wants. He doesn't care about your socially acceptable dynamics. This is a game where you can pee on monsters and they'll run away.
Yeah.
True visionary of our time.
Yeah. Yeah. God bless Kojima.
God bless him. He's so silly.
Alright, any last thoughts on our beloved Hideo Kojima?
Nope.
I'm glad we got to do this, because with Connor around, we would never have
Connor would be like, "That's
done this
dumb. Why
episode.
would he do
Yeah.
that? Why would Kojima be that smart?" 'Cause he's just crazy, man. He just does whatever he wants. He doesn't
Yeah.
care.
Alright, I have 2 games I wanna talk about. What about you,
I
Mike?
have let me check my Steam. I got
Sorry, can you how many do you have? You cut out again.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
You
I
got
really haven't
nothing?
yeah, I really
Okay.
haven't been busy.
Alright. Well, okay. So, I guess the first game, since we're already talking about Kojima, I'm gonna talk about Death Stranding 2 on the beach. So, I think the last time I was on, I mentioned I finished the game, right? And the ending was completely bonkers. One of the craziest Kojima finales ever. Direct homage to the Metal Gear Solid 4 finale, all of that crazy stuff. But even after finishing the game, I've felt myself wanting to keep playing it.
Crazy.
I'm probably it seems like I'm going for the platinum now. I wasn't really planning on it at first, but it seems like that's where I'm going. Like I'm very much obsessed with 5-starring all the delivery destinations and just building out my delivery infrastructure, like all my zip lines and all my roads are now built, all my rails are not now built. So I've really kind of optimized traversing Australia, which by the way, most of Death Stranding 2 takes place on Australia. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before, but
How do you get there? How does he get there?
Well, that might be kind of a spoiler, but yeah. Australia is the main setting for this
And
game.
wasn't he just in America?
Yeah, he was, and he still kinda is at the beginning of the game, I believe. Um, but yeah, so Australia is now covered in my roads and railroads and zip lines and whatnot, and, it's a lot of fun still playing the game. After you beat the game, you get, like, a really overpowered weapon, that the final boss used, and that kinda trivializes things, and which I appreciate, right? Like, now that I've beaten the game, I just kinda wanna, like, steamroll through everything. So it's fun feeling that powerful, and it's also fun continuing to discover things. There are little, like, kind of quests here and there that I'm still finding that are well outside the scope of the main game. So, I don't know, there's just a lot to do in Death Stranding 2, and it's a very, I guess, therapeutic game to play, right? Like, it is very relaxing most of the time, where you're just like there's a lot of quiet in Death Stranding 2 after the story is done, right? Because there's no longer those crazy cutscenes or anything, no longer, insane plot developments happening. It's just like you quietly hiking up and down mountains and fields, delivering packages, and that is very relaxing. I know a lot of people have the term like podcast game. I think Death Stranding 2, especially after you finish the story, is absolutely a podcast game where you can just like listen to a podcast or listen to some music, just chill and work on your deliveries. And it's a very kind of relaxing thing to do. So, yeah, I'm continuing to play Death Stranding 2, having a lot of fun with that. Um, but the main game I've been playing is Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I know Connor talked about it last week.
Connor did talk about it.
I intentionally didn't listen to his thoughts because I didn't want him to influence what I'm about to say. Um, I think this is an incredible game. I think it's if Clair Obscur Expedition 33 did not come out this year, I think this would be the game of the year.
Yeah.
That's how good I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is. And I think there are fewer rareware influences in this game that I was hoping to see, right? Like, watched the trailers and saw the fractones, which are like the little rocks with the googly eyes, and it reminded me of Rare's characters, and I was like, "Oh boy, they're pulling a lot from Donkey Kong 64." That's not really true, right? Like, some of the NPCs do look like Rare NPCs, and I did notice, like, 1 or 2 animations that are, like, an homage to some animations in Donkey Kong 64, but by and large, like, this is Mario Odyssey, but Donkey Kong, which is fantastic, right? Like, um, is it better than Mario Odyssey? I don't know. That's a tough question for you to answer because 'cause I'm not done with the game yet. I'm only on sub-layer 1000, so I think I'm, like, over halfway through the game. I don't really know, um, but it is a long game. Like, the levels are pretty long. There's a lot of Banandium gems to find in each level, um, and they're very creative too. Like, this is a very fun world to explore. The levels are fun to explore. Um, the movement is really good, right? Like, so Mario Odyssey had, like, really, like, if you wanted to, it had really technical movement, really advanced movement options. This game is the same, right? Like, um, and like I like how I discovered it's not like the game teaches you these things, right? You sort of just like experiment and find like more optimal ways to move throughout the world. And that's been really fun to do, right? So like, um, what is it? Like, I roll off a platform to get some, like, horizontal momentum, and then I jump, and then I, like, roll again, and then I punch, and that gets me a lot of, like, vertical and horizontal movement.
Yeah.
Um, and that was cool, right? Like, that was something I discovered kind of on my own, just, like, messing around with the controls. Um, but yeah, like, the terrain destruction system, I know there was some concern about that before the game came out. I think it's brilliant, right? Like, obviously, like, the very simplest implementation of that is just like, okay, there's this banana in this rock, just punch through the rock and you can get to the banana. But like, they do some creative things with like level design, verticality in the levels, with how destructible the terrain is. So the destruction is a really unique element to this game that I think adds a lot. And I think another thing that adds a lot are the Bananza transformations. So I think in the launch trailer they showed 3 off, which is like the Kong Bonanza, the Zebra Bonanza, and the Ostrich Bonanza. But these bonanzas are basically like temporary forms DK can assume that give him different abilities. So like the Kong one lets him punch harder, so you can punch through rock faster. The Zebra one makes you really fast and like make you able to like run over water and like not slip on ice. And the Ostrich one lets you fly and glide for a little bit. So combining these powers, it really kind of opens up the exploration even more. Um, and there's obviously more bonanzas as well, but I won't talk about those because they weren't in the launch trailer, so might be considered spoilers by some. But it's just a lot of fun to play, man. Like that same feeling of like it's just a joy to pick up the controller and move Donkey Kong around. I felt the same way with Mario Odyssey, and like it's very clearly the same team who worked on Mario Odyssey who made this game, and they just nailed it, right? Like this is the best Donkey Kong's ever felt. Uh, I know there's some like visual issues, right? Like obviously, I think the resolution could be a bit sharper, but like I think it looks pretty great as well. And I think this is a very worthy Switch 2 launch window game. If you were thinking, like, if you have a Switch 2 and you were thinking that, okay, Mario Kart World isn't quite enough, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is enough. Like, this is very much a system selling game, I think,
Yeah.
in the same way Mario Odyssey was. So I'm having a lot of fun with Donkey Kong Bonanza. I still have more to go. I think Connor finished it. And I hear the ending is like really, really, really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing why people are hyping up this ending to this game so much. Um, Oh yeah, and a couple final thoughts I will say. Pauline is like your little like sidekick for the game, like child Pauline, and she's very cute. I think she adds a lot of heart to this game. And
Hold
the
on.
other thing I wanted to mention was the singing and the music. The music to this game rules. And I don't know what language Pauline is singing in, or if it even is a language. Maybe it's a made up language. I don't know. I probably should just look that up. But I think it's like some kind of maybe some country in South America. But the singing's really good, and especially I will say the Zebra Bonanza singing. That song rules. The Zebra song rules. So if you're curious, look up the Zebra Bonanza song from Donkey Kong Bonanza because that song is fire. But overall, the music is really, really good in this game, and it's just cool to see once again music playing a central role in a Nintendo game. Like that seems to be a common thread in a lot of Nintendo games, right? Like obviously, Odyssey had the musical numbers, and then Zelda music has been an important part of the Zelda franchise forever, right? Like with Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, etc. And this game is all about music as well, right? Like it's all about Pauline and singing um and music is integral to this game, right? So like even when you're like when you need to find your objective, right, you hold like L left trigger and you Donkey Kong and Pauline like hum a little tune and the music notes kind of point you to the next uh objective or whatever. So it's like like even from like big things to little things, music is an integral part of this game, and I just really think that's a cool thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot that there's a game that came out recently that might be one of my contenders for game of the year. I
Yeah, what's that?
forgot the Abiotic Factor came out like a couple days
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
I've been
It did
meaning to
come out.
jump into it and play it with my friends. I've been trying to get like a big group together that way we could just like have fun with it because it is this chaotic game. But
Yeah.
I would put it on the list of some of the best games released this year because of when I last played it like a year ago, it's a blast. It captured that like idea of what Half-Life was 25 years ago, but what we myth a lot like what we kind of like mythologized as Half-Life. Not
Yeah,
actual
I get what you're
Half-Life. It
saying.
captures the mythology that we created around
Yeah.
Half-Life 1 in a way that I think that's hard to do, but Jesus
Yeah, that's cool.
Christ, it's a
I
good
definitely wanna
game.
check out Abiotic
It is
Factor. I will
also
say, though,
crossplay.
that's awesome.
Native
Yeah.
crossplay had a console release with 1.0, has, I want to say, like 40 to 50 hours of content in it. If
Really?
not
That
more.
much? That's
There's
crazy.
a lot. There's just when you get done with a sector, you find another one that's a new grind. It's a new sector that you have to get materials and everything to survive in. Like the
Yeah.
one sector that I feel like we never ground because we made it all the way up to Hydro Plant, and there's 2 more sectors after that now that I haven't touched.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exciting. Yeah,
and
let me know
Hydro
if you
Plants,
hop into that. I might especially if
yeah,
it's crossplay, I might jump in as
I
well.
bought it. I've had it. I'm still kind of working out who I'm gonna get into the server and play, but
Mm.
like
I
I'm excited.
I will say one thing, like, I know it's technically out now, but it's been out for over a year, right?
Yeah,
So this is what makes the game of the year discussion messy with, like,
it came
early
out
access
May
games.
2nd, 2024, so it came out almost a year and a half after it was announced, and I
Yeah.
started playing it roughly around the security update, so about halfway through, or no, I started playing it on update 2.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
update 2 was its, Hydro Plant upgrade update.
Mhm.
Hydro Plant security, I believe, is what they added, and then, there was a second and third update after that. There were a couple mini updates in there too, the community updates where they add, like, community features, but, the last update added the final sector and concluded the story, allegedly, and a lot of, like, crazy things. But if you like, I now that I can speak of I've spoke about it on here a bunch, but if you wanted, like, an SCP survival game that was behaved like Half-Life in Australia, Abiotic Factor's for you. It
Australia again,
nails it.
huh?
It nails it. It absolutely nails the feel of, like, you're playing Half-Life 1, but you're the interns and the scientists and the maintenance staff. You're not Gordon Freeman. You're just some scientist that got dumped in the middle of this cataclysmic event.
Yeah, that's
Survive.
funny.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. And the building system was deranged enough that, like, I think our funniest thing that we did was there was the arcade machines that we could salvage from one of the portal worlds. So we salvaged them and put them in our bathroom. So when you went to go poop, all you heard was just this cacophony of televisions and arcade machines. It's the only room in our entire base that was loud. Was
That's
our
funny.
was our poop
It's cool
room.
that you can even do something like that.
I think we also at one point I think we built a laser toilet or a portal toilet where if you sat on it and you had to poop enough, it teleports you to the back rooms. Like you'd get teleported to like a foreign dimension because you dared take a poop.
So, do you actually, like, take a poop, or do you just
Yes,
sit on the
it's a
toilet?
mini game.
Oh, okay. It's a mini
It
game.
is a mini game, and you
That's
have to
funny.
poop, or else you will you will poop on the floor.
That's crazy.
You have to eat, drink, and poop, and all of 3 of them, and sleep. And 2 of those are mini games where if you succeed the mini game, you poop and sleep faster.
That's really good.
It's so funny. Like, even something as sleeping, there's a little, like, jump over the enemies mini game so that you sleep faster. And
Yeah,
then halfway through the game,
that's
you get
awesome.
introduced to, the spaghetti monster. I don't remember his actual name, but, it moans at you, and it follows you around, and it can go through walls, and,
Mhm.
it will only get angry if you get close to it, and it will try to get close to you, but it'll disappear and stop if you stare at it.
Oh,
So,
man.
and no one else can see it. That's the craziest part about that
Oh,
monster.
I love stuff like that,
You
yeah.
can only see it. So, you just be sitting there with your playing with Nathan, and I'd be like, "Nathan, hold on. I gotta have a staring contest with the flying spaghetti monster. We gotta stop what we're doing. I gotta make sure he goes away." Eventually, you get to the technology where you just farm him because you get an X-ray gun
Mhm.
that instantly makes him go away and drop his, like, radiation sphere or something. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, you just hear him, like, just he's just there. It's such a goofy game, yet at times it can be fun. It can be crazy, it can be scary. It swaps genres on a dime.
That's great, and now that it's finally fully out, I'm gonna check it out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always hesitant when it comes to early access games, but it's good to see that this is, like,
Deep Field, the
out and
developers
not, like, forever in early access, you
Deep
know?
Field definitely cooked with this. I think they did a good job of both listening to their community and adding what things the community wanted, like aquariums for their fish or, like, the ability to, like, weaponize your poop or something, I don't know. Like,
Maybe
there's
they should
so much
collaborate with, Kojima.
there's so many crazy things you can do in this game, and it really nails the whole aesthetic of, like, yeah, you're just a bunch of scientists cobbling together a crossbow out of a stapler, a superconductor, and like you make a railgun out of nothing but duct tape and a superconductor. Like, it's so stupid. Like,
That's
sure, you could
awesome.
use the guns, but I think the battery slinging railgun's better. Like,
Yeah. Well,
fantastic game.
awesome, yeah. I'm glad that it's finally out,
I
and,
have another story about it actually.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is like the Halloween update where they added the pilgrims. You go
The
to this land
Pilgrims.
with like with like these like Puritan pilgrims, but they're like a cult over a stone or whatever, and they attack you with pitchforks and everything.
Mhm.
Pitchforks and torches, and they shoot crossbows at you.
Yeah.
And they hurt a lot. They were very, very lethal pilgrims. And there's at the end, there's this church full of them where you finally meet the cult or whatever and take their stone so you can use it to craft like some unholy abominations of technology. And
Right.
hold on. Well, initially, my friend Nathan and I, oh
Oh, bless
god,
you.
my friend Nathan and I attempted to take it by normal force, where we came in with our spears and guns and like actually took them mano a mano, and then we got wiped. So instead, we realized that we had technology. So we got a bunch of batteries, we charged them, we built a barricade in front of the church, stuffed it with Tesla coils, and just let them run out at us. We just
That's
used
awesome.
technology against them. I hear Nathan's like, "Stop, Mike. We have technology. We don't have to fight them like cavemen. We just drop a Tesla coil in the middle of this church and electrocute them." It was so stupid, but it worked, and we got out of there in time.
That's great.
Like,
What
God,
did
the
the
amount
stone
of
end up doing?
I think it's used in crafting. I think we're gonna restart and get back to that area eventually, but I think it's used to build like some weapons from that portal world. I don't remember
Nice.
what it does. We never really dug into the portal world enough because, again, the pilgrims hurt. Um, us going to war against the pilgrims was not a wise idea,
You'd think if they
but
had that they were guarding that stone, they'd have better technology than pitchforks, but
no, there was just
what
you
do I
just
know?
went into this Puritan dark woods full of pilgrims, and God, like, the portal worlds were always the funniest because one of them's Silent Hill, one of them is like the Myco fields in this like alien world. And then you just got the Halloween one where it's pilgrims and the next one's like a mountain with yetis on it, you know?
Mhm.
Like it's it's out there. There's the other portal world, which is the secret dark reverse security facility, but it's like a horror pinhead like prison of sorts where everything's black and full of ink. We don't
It
talk about
sounds
that
like
one though.
you never it sounds like you never get bored because 'cause you're always
Yeah.
going to new kind of
Yeah, even when you're in the facility, the different sectors are so different from each other. From, like, the office sector, which is just your standard cubicles and everything, to, like, the manufacturing sector, which is a lot of these wide open roads and, crates and everything, and these big mines and quarries,
Mhm.
to, the next sector you go to is the lab sector, which is full of, like, all the containment labs. So you're
Yeah.
basically in this, like, panopticon and navigating the various, like, containment sectors. And then you go to security, where, the lights are always off. There's no one there. There are no enemies. There's one enemy, and it attempts to grab you and take you to its shadow dimension. And did I mention there's no
Oh,
lights?
yeah.
Uh,
I think I remember you talking about
yeah, it's
this when you played it
horrifying.
last
And then you
time.
go to Hydro Plant, which is just a war zone. There are snipers everywhere. There's big robots that shoot rockets at you and flamethrowers.
Yeah.
There's an active war, and then after that, I think is Reactor, where you meet like the third faction of enemies, and then Residences after that.
Gotta check out this game.
Yeah,
It sounds like there's a lot going on.
I think it took us like a couple days to get out of the office sector alone of like solid gameplay. Like probably about 10
Yeah.
hours to get out of the first sector. Security was our
Dang, yeah.
quickest sector, but that's because security and Hydro Plant kind of go one and the same.
Yeah, I had no idea, like, the game was this, I guess, long. Like, I always
Manufacturing
thought it'd be,
took
like,
us
kind of
a
like a
while.
I always thought it would be kind of like, I don't know, like, shorter and more episodic, kinda like
It kind
Phasmo or
of
something?
it kind of requires you to stay in a sector long enough to like build up the resources for that sector
Mhm.
because some of the resources from the previous sector are going to be used for the next sector, and also to get out of the sector you need to unlock the hacking tool for those for like the tier 2 3 doors, and that requires you
Yeah.
to grind the end resources to get the end result and crafting materials from that sector before
Mhm.
you can get that door. So it's like this crazy, like, get to sector, get the armor for the sector and the weapons for that sector, or make sure you're up to par there. Figure out the blueprints for the hacking tool for that sector, get the hacking tool, and then finish the sector after you complete the rest of the sector. Like manufacturing, you have to turn on like 3 pipes to turn on a super laser to break into labs. And that's
Mhm.
after you get the hacking tool.
Yeah.
So
So it
there's
sounds
like
like
these
there's like a
levels of progression in the sector that
right.
you have to complete.
Yeah.
And then even then, we'd still find ourselves going to manufacturing to get manufacturing resources because we'd need it.
Mhm.
But it was just
How many
easier the second time.
how many people can play on, like, one
I
server or setting or
think
whatever?
I think it could get up to 16. I'd have to check. I
That's a lot.
think it was 16 though, but I don't know exactly how much you can do on like a hosted versus a dedicated. I'd
Okay.
boot up the game, but it needs an update, so we'll see.
Oh, no worries, yeah. I was just curious.
Yeah, I know I was playing it with up to 3 or 4.
Yeah, 'cause
So,
that number is, like, what I'd expect, right? Like,
yeah.
4 players, but,
It
like,
is very much the more the
anything past
merrier
that
because you can also, like, specialize. Like, between me and Nathan, I was specialized in, like, shooting and, a little bit of crafting, and Nathan specialized in cooking. He'd make a soup,
okay.
make a fine soup, a very robust soup system. Um, yeah, it's crazy the levels of specialization because the skill systems, as you use the skill, you level up your skill,
Yeah, I really
and
like
that's
that
how that
kinda
works.
system.
Yeah.
The good
So,
old, like, Oblivion system,
yeah, we'd, like
Elder Scrolls
I think
system.
towards the end, we set our XP multiplier to, like, times 10 so we could just be, like, up to date on our skills. Because
Yeah.
grinding, shooting, and reloading was a pain, which are 2 separate skills, by the way. Reloading is
Shooting
a
and
separate
reloading are
skill,
separate.
yep, and
That's funny.
reloading actually affects your reload speed. If you have very low reloading, it takes you way longer to reload things. It is kind of nutty. It is the way the game works is absolutely insane.
I appreciate that level of granularity
Yeah,
when it comes to skills.
it's so nice. It's such a good game. I honestly, if Clair Obscur hadn't come out, I think it'd be my personal game of the year. I
Yeah, we keep
finally
saying
be
that.
able to
Maybe we
say it.
should, like, at the end of the year, we could have our
We have the
game of the
actual
year
game
and
of the
then
year
the
and
game of
then
the year without Claire
the
Obscur.
game of the year without Clair Obscur.
Yeah.
Like, this game's not gonna make me cry, I can tell you that much, but it is gonna make me laugh, and it
It'll
has
make
made
you
me
cry
laugh.
from laughing so
Yeah,
hard.
I've laughed so much at this game. Just just on so many levels of, like, how hilarious it can be that,
Yeah, the whole, like, kinda, like, friend we're not calling it friend slop, friend-like vibe, you know,
yeah, this is it's
with
like
it.
it's a survival crafting game, but you're never outdoors. There's no outside, you're just inside, and the power turns off at night, so you just have to live.
Yeah.
Like, enemies spawn or no, enemies don't spawn. No, security bots come out at night in most sectors. And early game, the security bots are kind of a threat, well, they're a threat all game because they upgrade.
Mhm.
Like, you go from, like, the casual security bots that just hit you to the security bots that abduct you and stick you in a containment cell once you get to labs, to the security bots that have rocket launchers when you get to Hydro Plant. Getting
Sounds like a
abducted getting
sensible
Watching my
progression.
friends get abducted by a security robot is the funniest thing in the world. Because he'll go get in a fight with it, and then I'll just hear him screaming, and I watch a robot walk by with it in its clutches. Like, I'm like, I see. I have to stop him before he sticks you in a cell.
That's great.
It's such a funny game, such a good game.
All right, I think that will do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube. You can click the link in the description to join our Discord and talk to us there. And please like, rate, and review us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcast services you use. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I won't be here next week, actually. I'm moving.
Okay, so
yeah,
hopefully Connor will be.
I won't see you next week. Hopefully Connor's here to replace me.
All right. All right, yeah. See you next week. Bye.